Well, welcome all. This is the first video that I've done. My name's Raymond O'Reilly from Rayzorknives, and it's something that's been in my mind for the last few months, and I'm not trying to promote anything here. I'm not going to even start showing you how to use the Tormac or the TS Pro, but I'd like to probably start off first with common problems. And what happens is a lot of cases is these are a batch of 3 knives that I'm working on, and my first tip is when you go to sharpen a knife is use a red marker on your blade. Let it dry a couple of seconds, and then you'll know if you're hitting your bevel right on any machine, even if you're using your hand on whetstones or anything. So that's the first tip, but we'll get away from that now. So a young lad takes on to start deer stalking, and my first bit of advice would be probably, go out and get yourself a Mora knife, a Victorinox knife, something cheap and cheerful. If you lose it, no big deal, 17-20 euro down the drain, buy another one. And then after maybe a season or two, if you've shot a lot of deer, you'll have experience on that knife, and you'll have experience especially taking off the legs. So then you can probably move up a notch then if you want. I'll show other knives in videos because I don't be dishonest with any knife maker in Ireland. I love them all, and we all deserve the same recognition, and we're all in a circle of friends. We're not enemies, and we all know what goes into a knife. And we know with Brexit, all the extra expenses that we have now, mostly because of customs and shipping, and our prices had to go up because of that. But trying to stay to the one story here. So then the young fella, or anybody, even myself, I'm only a novice hunter. I don't shoot 10 deer a year because, well, in Cavan they're not many around. But you will get a young stalker that's living down probably in Wicklow, Cork, Kerry, Limerick, and the place is walking with deer, and he's been seeing deer being shot all his life, and maybe it comes his birthday or something, and the girlfriend or the wife buys him a custom knife. So we'll get to that stage then, and it happened to me, so I'm no expert. He gets his brand new custom knife. It's shaving hair. It's doing everything perfect. And he goes out in the field. He grolloks his deer. He zips them open. Does everything right. Then he goes to the back legs, whips them off, front legs, neck, up the neck, take off the head. And he's so happy with the knife, he doesn't know what to say. He goes home, washes his knife, hangs up his deer, then he sits back. And it happens a lot, this, and it happened to me even. And the next day you go out and you shoot a deer 4 or 5 weeks later, and the knife won't cut butter. And I've had knives that I've got feedback from that knife has done 27 deer, 34 deer. Like, I haven't seen 34 deer in my life, but there is places highly populated with deer, and there's guys out there that I know very well, good friends of mine, that are doing the right job. They have section 42s, Their deer management is to the bone. They're really knocking them down. They're taking out the hinds. They're really hitting them hard. And that's all year round. Them lads know how to use a knife. And I've only had two come back to me even after a year. And they've said to me, Ray, will you just put another edge on that, please? And I'm like, sure, no problem. And every knife goes dull. But the problem I'm getting to is the knife was rolled on the back legs. And he or she, young or old, inexperienced, didn't know that they had rolled the blade. So that's getting up now to our first little thing on sharpening. So the novice deer hunter is not going to buy a Tormac for 840. Bits and pieces along with 900. This is the TS Pro. It's in around €640. But you can buy cheaper versions on Amazon, and I've given links to a couple of lads. But the only thing is, you still have to buy good stones. And these are diamond stones. And getting back to these knives are 63 Rockwell. They're not your ordinary Victorinox knife from a butcher that you can rub on a whetstone. Of course, if you want to take on whetstones, it takes about 3 years to learn. And you can start off with the wives or the girlfriend's knives in the kitchen. That's what I do. Very quick, very simple enough. If they're not perfect, they'll still cut tomatoes all day long. And it's a great way to learn and still use the marker. You don't want to scrape the back of the knife. You don't want to destroy your beveled edge. But anyway, to a young stalker setting out, I still wouldn't tell him no. You can buy a system like this on Amazon for about 90 to 150 euro. And you can buy a set of stones from Hapstone. I buy them from Hapstone in the Ukraine. Now you might get them on different sites in different countries. It takes about maybe 4 weeks to get them. And I even bought the CBM stones from Hapstone. That's 2000 grit. You'll hear the word CBN being used with men that do a lot of wood carving and that. Excuse the noise, I live on the main street of a town. So it's a simple enough process. I've already started on this knife because I'm in a kind of a bit of a hurry, and I have this guy up to 400 grit, and I've already almost finished with it. And I like to just give it the forward pass. I don't come back on it. And that red marker is showing you taking off steel. And I keep my stones clean. And that's your 400. And now we're going to hit with 6. If you're changing a totally different thickness of a stone, you will have to remarker your knife because the angle will be slightly different. I actually have it worked out myself. It's about 2 degrees different. And I'm going to continue this the whole way up to 2000 grit. And I even have stones there with 8 and 12. They're Japanese whetstone, but they're on this system. You don't have to wet them. So, getting back to our little tips for the day. The marker is the first thing. Buy yourself a cheap system if you want. I'll not name any names in the deer stalking business, But I have friends with a collection of knives, and I'm talking thousands, maybe 5 and 10,000. Lads that has a collection of knives, 500 a piece for some knives, maybe more, and they could have 10 maybe on a wall, and they use them. And any man that's going out there using knives, that loves using them, well then it's the Tormac that he should have, or the TS Pro. And I could count maybe 5 stalkers I know that are up to that scale at the moment. And I run a diamond stone on my Tormac. I love to get these like a lance. But a knife doesn't have to be cutting paper or shaving your arm to grolic a deer. There's a thing that some people use, the term a tooty edge. Well, a tooty edge on a blade sometimes can just be as productive as any. And like, as we've just been speaking now, I've gone through 3 stones. So I'm going to be going to a thicker stone. So as I said, back to the red marker. These knives aren't finished, by the way, so if the video shows any dirt or that on the blade, it's just not been cleaned up. I use masking tape when I'm working on the handles, and that's your handle, is to hold the masking tape on the blade. So when you unwrap the masking tape, it leaves a residue on the blades, and you have to clean it with acetone, and it's basically the only way to clean them. So I hope this little video has helped around, and as I said, I support all the knife makers in Ireland. I've had men come here to my workshop and pick up a knife, and they've brought 2 to me from another knife maker, and they'll say, "Ray, can you put an edge on it?" I don't mind doing anything. As I said, it's a great hobby to have, and it's been going in the right direction for the last 3 years, and I'm very happy. And we're trying to cut out a few faults, and there's faults with everybody, including myself, but it's easy for me. I can run back and just throw the knife on the Tormac the next day, and I can stop it. So the one thing before we go is a strap. I can use one of these knives I haven't finished yet. A strap, and I have maybe 10 hanging up there on the wall. Buy yourself a strap. I sell them. People that say, "Oh, it's only a piece of leather." Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, it's a piece of leather and a piece of wood. I have some creams up there. I have lots of different compounds that I use. The white compound is good for stainless, so is the yellow. And basically all you do is just rub it on. It doesn't have to be very much. And if you use your knee or something, you're basically going to go in that direction all the time, away from you. This strap now is a bit old, but I do use it for myself. And right there you can see that the marker has been taken off, and it's about 2mm of a micro bevel. You're always taking off something, and it's only going to be the weight of that knife, and you're going to go probably 10 times in one direction and 10 times in the other direction. And as I said, this knife's not finished, so this is basically pointless, but I'm just showing you the technique. So you go 10, then you go 9, then you go 8, and you work your way down to 7 and 5, and all the way down, then there's just one stroke and one stroke. And a little tip is just run the knife on the edge of the timber to clean off the blade, and you'll be hoping that it's shaven. And you know that knife's not far from it. From just doing that. It's not shaving my hairs, it's taking off my skin. Little pimple there, it's annoying me. Yeah. And don't use a steel on a knife like this. You'll get lads that'll just start doing this with a steel. All of a sudden you're a butcher. And what you're doing there is you're hitting one side of the knife at 26 degrees. Then you're hitting the other side of the knife at 28. Then you're hitting it at 20. Then you're hitting it at 30. Then you're hitting it at 10. And you're flying all over the place. And you think you're doing it right. You can do that with a Victorinox knife because it's softer steel. And like they're all other little tips that I'm trying to give you. As I said, this is my first video. I have to get back now and finish these knives and have them ready for this evening. And I hope this has been educational, and thanks very much for your support. Take care. Bye bye.